In today's class, we will be talking about Ohm's law and also about the concepts of resistivity and how does we choose that which material of wire should be used for which purpose. So let us start with Ohm's law. What does Ohm's law say? Well, Ohm's law says that according to Ohm's law, the current that is flowing across the ends of a conductor, so if I have a conductor here, the current that is flowing across the ends of the conductor is directly proportional to the potential difference which is applied across the ends of the conductor, provided that the temperature of this entire system remains constant. So that is what Ohm's law says. Ohm's law says I is directly proportional to V. So if you draw a graph of I versus V, it is a straight line passing through the origin, inclined at 45 degrees with the x-axis, because I is directly proportional to V, but there is a constraint which says that the temperature has to remain constant for Ohm's law to be valid. Now from graphically, when these experiments were done, I by V, this gave us a slope. How do we find out slopes? We consider 2 points in this triangle, and this is my delta I and this is my delta V. So slope is change in I by change in V. This slope came out to be what is known as conductance. And what is conductance? It is equal to 1 by resistance. So I by V is equal to 1 by resistance. The inverse of resistance is conductance. Conductance means how much it will allow the current to flow. So from that aspect, V is equal to I into R. This is the formula for Ohm's law. Obviously you have to study the statement as I said, but this is the form. Now V you already know it's volt and I is already ampere, therefore unit of R is V by I, which is equal to volt per ampere. This volt per ampere in one word is said to be Ohm, in honor of the scientist who after whom Ohm's law is named, and this is the symbol for Ohm. And what is the unit for conductance? Well, conductance is 1 by R, so it has a unit of 1 by Ohm. Previously this was called MHO, mho, that was the unit of conductance previously, but now it is Siemens. Siemens is the new SI unit for conductance and Ohm is the SI unit for resistance. Remember one thing, as I said, that if the y-axis has got current and the x-axis has got V, then slope delta I by delta V will be 1 by resistance. But if the x-axis has got current and the y-axis has V, it can have, it all depends on how you plot your data. In that case the slope will be del V by del I, which will directly be resistance. So don't get confused by this. A second type of question that often comes is like if this is the VI curve and these are two graphs. Alright, these are two graphs passing through origin. For the Ohm's law, this is for one material, say this is material M1 and this is for another material M2, and it is asked that which material has got a greater resistance. How will you find out? Again you have to do the slope. As you can see from this graph that the curve M2 is steeper, so steeper a curve is, the more is its slope. That means the slope of M2 is greater than that of M1, and the slope of the VI curve is itself resistance. That means resistance for material M2 is greater than resistance for the material M1. So looking at the slope of the curve, you can also find out which one has got a greater resistance. So that brings us to our next topic, which is ohmic resistors and non-ohmic resistors. So what is the basic difference between these two? Well, ohmic resistors are those which obey Ohm's law. Non-ohmic resistors are those which do not obey Ohm's law. So as I said, Ohm's law is basically says that the current that is flowing across the ends of a conductor, when a certain potential difference is applied, that is directly proportional to that potential difference, provided the temperature remains constant. So in ohmic resistors, they simply follow this curve Vi, but the non-ohmic resistors, they don't. For them the VI curve is some kind of a curve like this, it is not a straight line. So even if the temperature remain constant, they do not obey the constant VI relationship. Examples of ohmic resistors are all good conductors, as we said, copper, aluminium, silver, gold, all of these good conductors, they are ohmic resistors. And non-ohmic resistors, well, we have got under non-ohmic resistors something like junction diode, triode valve, diode valve. These are examples of non-ohmic resistors. Alright. Now in the last class we had talked about that resistance is directly proportional to the length of a conductor and it is inversely proportional to the area of a conductor. These two can be combined to write down that resistance is proportional to length divided by area. If I bring in a constant of proportionality here, resistance becomes KL by A. This K here is what is called resistivity, rho. The symbol is pronounced as rho, and this constant is called resistivity, which is also known as specific resistance. Alright, so resistance R is equal to specific resistance into length by area. If I make rho to be the subject, that is R into A by L. What will be the unit? Resistance has a unit ohm, area has a unit meter square, and length is meter. So the unit for resistivity or specific resistance is ohm meter. And just because resistance is rho L by A, 1 by resistance is 1 by rho A by L. What is 1 by R? That is my conductance, and 1 by C is my conductivity, given as sigma. So sigma A by L. Now if I make sigma the subject, sigma is therefore CL by A. What is C? The unit of C, unit of conductance is Siemens, and L by A means per meter. So the unit of conductivity or specific conductance is Siemens per meter, and the unit for resistivity or specific resistance is ohm times meter. Alright. Now what are the factors on which this resistivity or specific resistance depends? One of the factors is it depends upon the nature of material of the wear of the conductor, whatever you say. So resistivity depends upon that nature. Materials like our copper, silver, gold, they have got a lower resistivity. The insulators like plastic, wood, glass, they have got higher resistivities. And also resistivity is directly proportional to temperature. As you increase the temperature, the resistivity will increase. Remember one thing, though we wrote down that R is rho L by A, and from here to make the subject that rho is RA by L. This rho, resistivity, does not depend on resistance, area or length of the conductors. Actually, this is the main formula, that R depends on length and on area, and therefore we bring in a constant of proportionality. Just because we make rho the subject does not mean rho depends on these factors. Resistivity is completely independent of area or length of the conductor, or what is the size and shape of the conductor, what is the resistance. It doesn't depend on at all in these factors. Resistivity only depends on these two factors, the temperature and the nature of the material with which it has been made. So now we have to decide that what particular material we will choose for which kind of purpose. So if I am talking about, say, conductors, good conductors, then what kind of material should I choose? If I am talking about standard resistors, then what kind of material should I choose? Well, conductors are those which should be able to conduct current. That is, they will not offer much resistance, they will have lower values of resistivity. So for conductors, we can choose materials like our gold, our silver, aluminium, copper, copper sulfate solution. These are examples of good conductors. For resistors, we choose the standard resistor materials like nichrome ware, manganene, constantan. These are examples of standard resistors. They heat up quite easily. They actually resist the flow of current. So when you want in your circuit that some actual obstruction should be provided to the flow of current, that things should heat up like an electric heater, you use those resistors. But when you want minimum loss in the form of heat and maximum efficiency in the terms of flow of current, you use this kind of materials as your conductors. And how does this resistance or resistivity they vary for conductors or for various kind of alloys, semiconductors? So if you have these conductors, for the conductors, resistance is directly proportional to temperature. As temperature increases, resistance increases, as we already discussed before. For the resistors, resistance remains practically unchanged with temperature. Whether you increase the temperature or you decrease the temperature, if it is not drastic, resistance and resistivity almost remains constant. And if you are looking into semiconductors, what are semiconductors? Like we have silicon, we have germanium, we have antimony, then we have bismuth. These are examples of semiconductors. So semiconductors have got this amazing relation with temperature. They are inversely related. So if you increase the temperature, their resistance decreases, and if you decrease the temperature, their resistance increases. So semiconductors become more and more efficient and act better as conductors if the temperature is very low, and if the temperature is high, their resistance is very low and they act almost like insulators. Since we said that semiconductors are those materials whose resistance are inversely proportional to temperature, as the temperature goes down, their resistance increases. There is another type of materials which are even better than conductors. These are called the superconductors. So for superconductors, resistance is directly proportional to temperature, but at very low temperature, say from 0 to 10 Kelvin, in that range. Remember, 0 Kelvin means minus 273 degrees Celsius and 10 Kelvin means minus 263 degrees Celsius. So within this range, this kind of superconductors, they have practically 0 ohm resistance. So they have almost no resistance at all, and as a result they provide no obstruction to flow of current, and current can flow smoothly without any loss either in form of heat energy or due to the resistance. So these superconductors, well, they have got many beautiful practical applications and research is happening in this field. But what are certain superconductors? If you look into the examples in your book, one of the examples is given of mercury, the other is given of lead. Mercury and lead. But the important parts are the temperature. Mercury at temperature less than 4.2 Kelvin, lead at temperature less than 7.5 Kelvin. So it's like in the negative 270 degrees Celsius region.